We are
Welcome
live. We are
to,
back. Yeah.
yeah, we're on a very spontaneous episode today.
Yep.
And yeah, we're actually very excited because um, today this episode, is called, it's episode 12, and we're calling it a new AI robot member in the community, right? This is the
Yeah.
Tesla community channel. And
Exactly.
yeah, there's a new
So,
AI robot, or autonomous robot, which is
yes.
Model Y. And
And it's
I'm
just
giving
it's
over to
it's
you.
right next to me, just outside the window. And when we get a chance, we'll go into more depth and have a proper look at it, and we'll post some pictures and things. But yeah,
Yes.
brand new Model Y. It's taken a long time to get here. Like it's been like a how can I justify the cost, and is it how can I explain the benefits, and how can I make this work, and how can I make it not
Yeah.
seem like it's just like a midlife crisis, where you're just like doing something spontaneous and crazy, right? But the vehicle is here. Picked it up last Friday, so it's brand new out of the box, and yeah, yeah, happy to share that with the channel.
Yeah, super nice, man. The feeling when you get a new, uh, is a kind of toy that you really love. But here, I mean, it's Tesla, and we all know, especially the owners, how much joy this product actually brings you. And I think Elon Musk often talks about how, you know, when was the last time that there was a product you really, really loved? And I was like, come on, dude, this is a car, right?
Yeah,
how,
exactly.
how much
Hey,
can you
yeah,
love it? But then you really kind of get that, this is an amazing product, which is like not only high in utility, good for
yeah,
the environment and stuff, but also just giving you this most safety that is available in
yeah,
the world, right, for a drive. And
yeah.
what else do you want your family to be in, right? You want to be relaxed and calm about it. And I think this is where the joy comes from. It's not actually doing something, but
It's
not
doing
needing
something
to do
that's good.
anything,
That's
right?
promoting it. Yeah, exactly.
Doing less. That's like the joy, and worrying less. And that's, I think,
Yeah,
what Tesla does to me. At least, having owned my Tesla Model 3 for 3 years now,
yeah,
nearly
awesome.
3 years. It's been an amazing experience. I can only congratulate you to your start of your
No, cheers. No,
kind
well,
of new family
congratulations,
member.
congratulations to everybody who has made the leap, you know, and has like taken the risk and is trying out this new technology. You know, frankly, I'm thrilled that there are so many sort of uh, manufacturers now diving into electric vehicles. I
Yeah,
can't I can't personally speak for anything but a Tesla. I've been crazy about Teslas since like 2020. Just learning about everything I could learn about them, and now having a chance to actually own one is
yeah,
is even though we've had like several videos and I've been following a lot of material, it's still a game changer. It's still like um it's not like I just sort of went, oh yeah, I know what this is. Yeah, I just drove it home, and sort of it's still a mind blowing experience to actually witness the technology firsthand. That is the really really significant thing right now. And yeah,
yeah.
I've had this like internal debate, between like, you just want a new toy, you just want a car, you just want to like, you know,
Exactly.
and that's
The
one
new
side of the
obsession,
debate. But
right?
the
The
other
next
side of
thing.
the debate is also like, you know, I've had a major car accident, right? 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. You told
Well,
us about
21
it.
year, yeah, 21 years ago, big car accident. And
Yeah,
that was enough to kind of sober me up. Um, Frankly, I shouldn't really be here. I was lucky to kind of get out of
yeah,
that. And that's like, that's just one of those things that makes has made me think a lot. And I think 30, 40, 50 years from now, if I looked back and I thought, well, at a stretch, I could have saved and scrimped and saved and tried my best to try and get a hold of a Tesla or a vehicle of that level of caliber in terms of safety alone. And I didn't take the chance. And one of my family members ends up in a horrible car accident. I wouldn't forgive myself. I wouldn't
yeah.
forgive myself for not trying to do something to make my family as safe as I can make them.
Yeah,
And
and
frankly, you know,
we got it. We got it. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, cool.
especially for those who might be kind of new to Tesla and understanding everything, right? I think it's always important, as you also say, oftentimes that bringing it down to the layman. Why
Yeah,
is it so important that you get a Tesla in terms of safety, right? And the explanation is that if you look at the safety score ratings from the official rating agencies by governments, you will
mm,
see that Teslas are always in the top tier, right? Sometimes they have the highest rating in every
yeah,
category, also every subcategory, and this is
yeah,
unheard of oftentimes. And this comes due to several iterations that Tesla did with their cars, constant iterations, in fact, especially
yeah,
right now with the giga castings, where it's kind of made like a toy car, right? You have a
yeah.
front
Like
casting
the
and the
inner
back car
shell
is
of it is
casting.
like, yeah,
Yes, and then you have the structural battery inside, which is
yeah,
very heavy, and makes the car go to the
yeah.
bottom.
A low center of gravity.
Yes,
There's so many
it's super safe, right?
variables.
It's
Yeah,
like a super safe box that your family is in, and then it has
yeah,
this is just the passive safety features,
yeah,
also along airbags and stuff, of course, and
yeah,
the this is just passive, but active safety measures include you're leveraging the amount of cameras that are on board around it, and making it possible for the AI vision to navigate through various intersections or various accidents happening in real time, and the
yeah,
car can decide whether it's safe to go that this way or that way. I talked about it like a few episodes ago, I think, with
yeah,
my experience. Was like one of the first days owning a Tesla when I was on ramping on an autobahn, and there was somebody coming from behind, but swerving towards me, and I was just newly arriving at the autobahn,
right,
and the Tesla evaded it automatically, right? When the car
right.
approached, the Tesla did the same thing without me actually doing it, right? And this is the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
safety that I think is making you giving you the peace of mind that you need, and that's
yeah.
why
And
I think you're so concerned as well.
yeah, hey, then that's a really big deal. You know, I also remember, I think Elon mentioned that a little while ago, that even though you can get the different packages, you know, you've got advanced autopilot, you've got FSD,
Yeah,
which is still in beta, but at some points, you know, it looks like it's quite likely to become like fully fledged. Even though you have these different packages, he was basically dropping the bombshell that, you know, all of these vehicles have the capacity to take over and take evasive maneuvers when they see something that's about to occur, some kind of collision that's about
yeah.
to occur, and like exactly like you've experienced, which is it's profound. And there's so many things, and I think there's so many things that people struggle to you know, Tesla enthusiasts struggle to package all of the benefits into
Yes,
one
it's
conversation.
so much. You don't
Yeah,
know what to do.
and yeah. I mean, it's like you're rambling on through a list of significant changes to
Yeah,
transportation, that you probably you can easily lose your audience, you know, because it's like, yeah, but there's this and there's this and there's this, and maybe it starts sounding like it's too good to be true, you know, and
yeah.
then you go back and you watch some more
Science
adverts
fiction.
about
Uh,
other vehicles, and you go like, yeah, you know what, Tesla's just some kind of hyped up crazy thing. But
yeah,
then you
yeah, yeah.
kind of ask yourself sobering questions like, why are they scoring so high in the safety score?
Yeah, but often people don't even know about the scores, right? And this is why Tesla should actually advertise, at least when the demand is dropping
Yeah,
due to very high volumes starting to ramp up and more, right? We are already at like 2 million or something in a year. Or was it
yeah,
four? I actually don't know right now, but it is
yeah,
ramping up like crazy, and I think this is actually something that Tesla should advertise, because it makes it more acceptable for people to see Teslas on the street, and especially later on in the US, for example,
yeah,
with
yeah.
FSD, right? When you see autonomous cars, you want to know that they actually are aware of the situation, right?
Yeah,
You as a
yeah,
pedestrian, for example, you want to feel safe around the Tesla. And if you're looking at the mainstream media and what they've been bloating for many years, and with a FUD, like fear,
yeah,
uncertainty, and doubt, you can see right now it's kind of calming down, as the other
yeah,
kind of legacy automakers, as many people often call them, like
yeah,
GM,
yeah,
Ford, and so on, also going into producing electric vehicles. And now you
yeah,
can
and
see the
and
amount
they're
of
also,
reports
yeah, and they're all
dropping, right?
Yeah, things are inadvertently happening. Like the low center of gravity is now becoming part of pretty probably more all these new
Yeah.
electric vehicles that are exploding into the market. Probably all have the battery in the
Exploding
same.
into the market.
Yeah,
Like with reference to the
I suppose.
battery
Yeah,
and the FUD about exploding batteries, right?
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Good old Bolt, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, in some parking lots, even today, it's still
yeah,
forbidden to go there with a Chevy Bolt.
with the Chevy
'Cause-
Bolt because of the issue they were having with the fires.
yeah, yeah, right.
Do you there was
It's like
that point?
crazy.
Remember that at one point they were like, I don't know if it was real, but there was talk of constructing a very special garage to put your Chevy Bolt in, and just in case there's a fire.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, so
Like a metal case.
production is hard.
Yeah, it's
You know,
true for every
hey,
manufacturer, right? And I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
funny that especially the legacy automakers see that they don't know it all, and especially with in terms of EVs, they see, okay, this is a totally different kind of product, and our old approaches with gasoline cars or
mm,
ICE vehicles is not possible with these EVs, and especially not to stay competitive in terms of
yeah,
production costs. Right, it's so
yeah,
different, and that's why we
yeah,
talked about it before. The worry that it might actually lead to lots of unemployment, especially in Germany. Right, it's system imminent or system important for the automakers in Germany
yeah, yeah.
because so many suppliers and so many families are feeding on the
Depending on, yes,
industry, right?
dependent on that. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
exactly. Hey,
exactly.
and
But let's go back to your Model Y. Sorry.
yeah, no,
I
sure,
think.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So okay. So
So what about
uh,
charging?
that has
That's the
I've
main
been test
concern.
you, as you can imagine, I've been putting it kind of testing it a little bit now that I actually have one,
Yeah.
that
What do you
I
mean?
can
Like,
actually observe it on a micro level, to see
yeah.
what exactly is the capacity, what exactly are the specific limitations. And one of those, yeah, charging is a very, very big question, and it's
Yeah.
amazing how
It's true.
there's a public perception of charging, and many of the kind of the FUD type perceptions are there aren't enough chargers.
Yeah.
Range is an issue. And if I start telling people that actually I can get 330 miles of range, and I've got this, it comes with a small charger, like an emergency type charger that
Yeah.
you can just
And
plug into a wall socket, right?
yes, any socket, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I actually, when I brought the car home, it only had about 15% charge.
Okay.
Okay, so it was already quite low from the pickup point. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I need to. My immediate thought was, oh, maybe I better go and quickly get to a supercharger somewhere, quick, quick,
Yeah.
But actually, I brought the car home. It went down by 1.5%. It wasn't a massive drive. Um, but I just thought, all right, I'm just going to plug it in, right? With the little,
Yeah.
because I don't have the big wall connector
Yes,
mounted yet.
but
They'll,
just a
you know,
standard socket,
yeah, exactly.
like where you
Plugged it
charge
into a
your
standard
phone in,
socket.
right?
Yeah, hey,
I mean, that's the important thing to understand for people. It's like charging
the
your phone,
standard
but
wall socket, like with a
yes,
normal three prong plug. Exactly,
yes,
exactly. So the
at
little
least in
light
the
turns
UK.
on, you plug it in, the little light flashes blue and then it flashes green to indicate that it's charging. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a very slow charge because it's
Yes.
pulling a very small amount of current out of a normal wall socket. But by the following morning, it went from 13.5% to 53% overnight. And I thought that's given me quite a bit of range. And there was like in an emergency and we had to just plug it in somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, that was significant. That was
Yes.
significant.
But
So,
you need to care for your child.
yeah, I think we've got a
Okay.
visitor here. Hold on.
Yeah. Hi. We can just keep on going,
Yeah,
right?
we can keep
We were
going, guys.
expecting
Yeah,
this.
yeah. This is a spontaneous show
Yes.
for anyone who wants to catch up on it. We're just having a like a almost like a reaction video, to like
Yeah.
getting a new Model Y. Thanks, guys.
Especially.
All right,
So
and we just had a delivery
okay.
from a
Thank you.
special little
Thank you very
person.
much.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is, guy. I'll see you just now, big boy. Okay. Right. So yes, that's part of having small children in the house. There's always interruptions, but
Yeah,
we
that's
roll
fine.
with it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we were talking
um,
charging. So
we're
uh,
talking
the
about charging, right?
the standard socket in which you use for charging your phone, or right, plugging
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
lamp.
Yeah.
Um, of course, that's like a kind of an emergency way, right? But it does the
Exactly.
job. I mean, you loaded like 200 miles into it right overnight, and you're not
Yes.
using the car anyways overnight.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like even more convenient than going to a gas station because you're actually saving time. You're going home, plugging it in. It takes like 5 seconds, and you're done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then you just leave
That's it.
it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And
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 uh,
and,
but
and
but
I yeah, sorry, you were
sorry.
saying, Julian?
Yeah, I just wanted to lead over to you, telling like the next option that you're getting or about to
Right.
get, as you
Right.
teased
Okay.
before.
Yeah, exactly. And in conversations, you may find. I think I found already like various people that I've spoken to around here that I'm starting to tell them, yeah, I've got this new Tesla, and it's like quite something. One of the things that people think about is, oh, someone can just come and pull the plug out, right? But it
Yeah,
really locks in there, right? Give me a second. Sorry, this is
it's
part
okay.
of family life, guys.
Yes, of course. Yes, maybe I can tell about my charging experience at home with my Model 3. So we are living in a rental apartment. I was just talking about my experience too. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it, Julian. Yeah, yeah,
So we are living in a rental apartment, and actually, it's part of a house. And on the same ground, there's also another house owned by the same landlord. But the front house, it actually has garages,
cool.
garage
Yeah, a
below it, right?
garage.
Of course. And that's where we can get one of the garages and pay 50 euros for it in a month. It's fine, but we needed to convince our landlord that we could charge it at least maybe a bit faster than this very low standard power socket.
Yes.
But he wasn't so sure about it. So I said, okay, we can leave it like that. We don't need to have new cables. But of course, I needed a way to calculate how much watts I was pulling into my car, and making sure of that. So I needed an electrician. But I told him that he could also use like it's called a CEE adapter, which is making it like a blue. It looks blue, like a blue outlet, but this is kind
Yeah.
of special because it's better for overheating, or fighting overheating, actually, because in a standard
Right.
socket it might go warm depending on how
Yes,
well
it's
it was
gonna.
done,
Yeah.
what quality it is, and so on. So we were just making that sure. But we don't actually need an upgrade for it to load until it has like very high kilowatts. So right now it's like at 3.4 watts an hour, and for reference, my Model 3 has I think about 54 kilowatts battery in it.
Right.
So you can
Yeah.
calculate back how long it takes to charge it, depending on which charging level you put it in, right? You don't need to plug it in at 15% or something. You can plug it in at 50 if you want to, right? Or
Yeah.
zero. It doesn't really matter. So
Yeah.
depending on how much you're plugging it in, it might take a bit longer, but you can also get these upgraded, thicker, um, uh, how do you call it in English? The power lines, right? Or how's
Your
the cable?
cables,
Yeah,
eh?
I can't just a cable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's
No.
so
No. No. Yeah. All right.
easy. Yeah. So there are upgraded cables that you're using, at least in Germany, for ovens, right? Where it's like a
Yeah.
higher power cable. But
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
standard stuff, right? It's not unheard of in a common household. So now I think, what
Exactly.
are you getting? That's my question now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what? Okay. So I'm gonna get the classic kind of the typical wall connector hooked up,
Yes.
for higher charging. But
How
yeah,
much can it
I'm
charge?
actually.
It's like 11 kilowatts.
It's a good question. I mean, I'll find it out
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I think
When
this is
they've.
11 kilowatts. So it's like threefold from
Yeah.
what I get.
Yeah.
And with that,
Yeah.
if you're calculating it again, you can fully charge from 0 to 100% your Tesla in like 5 hours, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's super fast, and
I know.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible. And oftentimes you
Just
don't
just
really need that. You never, at least we
that's
never
the
need it,
thing.
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because the the system is quite secure. It locks the plug in position, and you can't unlock it without your key, essentially. Um, and when you've and like you were saying, Julian, when you've got a place to park the car, if it's a driveway or a garage, yeah, sure, that does help. It does help. But the really encouraging thing to observe at this point is the fact that it's actually charges quite quickly. If you have a place you've parked it and you can leave the plug in
Yes.
all night, you're going to have a considerable amount of charge by the morning.
Yeah, it's
And
fully charged, like guaranteed.
it's not a lot of electricity in terms of cost.
Yes, it's super low.
Like yeah, the very next day, I needed to take one of my kids to to a party, right? And I didn't know the area. I just parked in a like a garage next door to it, like a built up area where built up car park, and I just kind of was going up the levels, and suddenly in front of me, there's a row of chargers. Now, these were not superchargers; these were other chargers. Each one has sort of three cables in it for different kinds of
Yeah.
cars. Different kinds of sockets and that. But I just thought to myself, well, I'm up 50% from the night before on the little charger. Now I'm going to see. Let's try one of these other chargers. Okay, they're not a supercharger, but let's just see what could happen
Yeah.
here. So I pulled into one of them. I just it told me it was going to cost me like 79p a kilowatt hour, which is quite that's quite
Yes,
expensive in terms of
that's
charging,
true.
right?
Also compared to
But
Germany.
well, yes, exactly, exactly. But that I thought, okay, let's treat that as sort of worst case scenario. I think the average supercharger is going to get you um, something like 39p. Sort of about half that cost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also in Germany right now, it's
Yeah. But I thought
39
that's fine. I'm
cents.
going to just try it, and then 15 pounds later, the battery was fully charged, and it happened in less than an hour.
Yeah.
So. Uh,
And you were gone from the car anyways, right? It's not like you were
Exactly.
waiting
I
in the
was at
car.
the at the kids'
Yeah.
party, just and sort of um, it was already finished charging before the party was over.
Yeah.
You know, so
You
the
actually got to
significance
pay
there
idle
is,
fees, right?
yeah, that can happen if you got to kind of keep your eye on or keep watching the charge and then head back and then take it out of the bay, let someone else come and charge. But see, yeah, that's just good manners. Hey,
Yes.
but never mind avoiding a penalty for just being parked in a block in a bay. Um, there was another Tesla parked 2 bays down, not plugged in.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
super assy, but right now it's
yeah.
kind of fine because I assume most of the chargers were free anyways, right?
That's the thing. Well, that's another thing. Hey, you get these buildings where charging is free, and it doesn't take um, rocket science to install chargers that can compete with how fast you can fill up your tank of fuel with petrol.
Yeah.
It's really a case of there are plug sockets and electricity outlets everywhere. And it's I think the average person might be thinking about it thinking, I can't be, that's too easy. That sounds way too easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that a lot of the time that's what you're up against. If you get into a kind of a debate or about um, um, why Teslas are so good, or electric vehicles and the potential of their future. um, and I suppose in some conversation you just have to wait until somebody is just have to experience it for themselves before they'll actually believe
Yes.
that it's actually possible.
Yeah.
So that happened. I tried the little charger there the one night. Then I tried that kind of the pricey non supercharger that just happened to be there.
Yes.
Just happened to be. It was convenient. I just happened to be in the place that I went to park at. I didn't even need to go somewhere. So the sense I'm getting is that a lot of these chargers are kind of popping up, and it's not just superchargers. It's electric vehicle chargers,
Yes.
and I know there have been lots of stories about many networks that have suffered low reliability,
Exactly. And Tesla superchargers are up
and
like
maybe, yeah,
99.69% or something, right?
yes, yes.
Nice.
But it does, even despite that, there are other charger companies that are installing chargers, and not all of them are broken. I mean, I just happened upon that one on
Yeah.
Saturday, plugged it in, and actually had a seamless charging experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's
You
the
know,
best way you can
I
think
gave
about.
it my car. I gave it my yeah,
Just a
yeah,
brief interruption. Is my
yeah.
mic
Sure, no, no
level
worry.
all right like this? Like, am
Yeah, yeah,
I
perfectly
pumped
fine.
it up a bit, so is it still
Yeah, no, no,
okay?
no, perfectly fine.
All right, because
Yeah,
right before it was lower. So sorry. Yeah. So you were
yeah,
charging, going home, yeah, and then there's obviously the Tesla supercharger, which is like a dedicated charging network, right? Which is actually at
yeah,
the moment, if you look at the stats from, they have a Twitter account where they're posting when they're opening up a new a stall. Not only is it called a stall? Oh no, a station, right?
yeah. Still,
Wait, we're talking about stations where you have several stalls in it, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
between, let's
I
say,
mean, we might
4
call it a
to
bay or a but yeah,
40 stalls, right? But this is at one station,
40.
and they're
Wow.
opening up two stations in a day, like every 12 hours on
Yeah,
average. Tesla's
yeah,
opening a new station, right? Each with 4 to 40 stalls in it worldwide, and you can see the supercharger network popping up like crazy. And also, near
yeah,
my hometown where I grew up, they're also now building one because it's also next to the autobahn.
yeah,
So obviously, it makes sense for long distance travelers to just go there, and they're always
yeah,
making sure that
yeah,
it's at some place where you can go to the toilet, where you can have something to eat or to rest. Right? It's not
yeah,
like in a remote parking spot, and this is why also
yeah,
more and more of the legacy automakers like Ford and GM are now jumping onto the train of
yeah,
joining the Tesla charging network, at least in the US, with the new North American charging standard plug, which is only a
yeah,
open, which used to be open source from Tesla, or is still open source, but it used to be only used by Tesla. And as I just described, the Tesla supercharging network is expanding. It's very good. It's very reliable in contrast to the other ones. And now they're expanding it like crazy. And it just makes
yeah,
sense for them to adopt it, right? And also in Europe, they've opened it to other EV manufacturers, right? They sometimes might need an
yeah.
adopter,
Awesome.
uh, but that's available for any customer. And then you can use the charger network, which is kind of like one of the top selling points among the safety we talked about, among the cost savings and so on, that Tesla
Yeah,
provides. And it's just amazing. I can only recommend, and wait for your experience with the supercharger, especially if you maybe one day traveling long distance, right? I did
yeah.
it
We'll go
before,
camping and
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
about to do it this
Exactly.
summer, like in a month. I will go from the
Yeah,
north of
awesome.
Germany to south of Germany, and I was showing it to my father. I was planning it on the Tesla app on my phone. I told him, we're going to
Awesome.
start at my garage with 100% in my Model 3 with my family of four and luggage.
Hmm.
And I said, here, look, we're going to the south of Germany, and it will take like 8 hours, or but charging included. And it was like one
Yeah,
charging. Sorry, we are going to make a stop in the middle.
yeah,
Um, but there it said you actually need to charge it once, right? So it's like super convenient. Even if you want to have, like, they're also calculating that you're arriving with like 15% remaining, or between 10 and 15%
yeah,
remaining,
yeah,
and you need to make sure that there's a charger available somewhere where you're going, right? But I looked at a map
yeah.
from another company that is offering a charging network, and there were plenty of chargers in this town, so I have no problem at all. And I asked the hotel whether they have public charging available, at least for their customers, right? I can also pay them
Yeah, sure.
for charging, and that's also a feat that Tesla does, right? Giving away for free the chargers for Tesla. Like, there are 2 or 4 chargers at a hotel, and you can get it for free. And then you, as a hotel, you get listed on the charger destination or charging destination
Awesome.
network, and then you're part of the Tesla
Yeah,
network, right? And you can just
yeah,
conveniently go have your long distance travel through Germany. Just stop once or maybe twice, especially with kids. We're actually going to have like one night over in the middle week, because
yeah,
it takes 4 hours already to travel, and our kids are not used to this, and we as well, especially with the kids.
yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, we're going there straight with one charge, and we're arriving, charging overnight, and then going on to the next day, and arriving at our destination, going on trips there. We're charging at our hotel very conveniently, as you do at home. It's just perfect,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for your experiences.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, even if we went camping and we had a small electrical outlet, and we just let it slowly charge overnight.
Yeah,
we have access to that power, to a certain extent. We can charge all of our phones and
That as well.
devices,
Yeah.
and yeah, and
You can also heat up the Tesla
uh,
in case it gets too cold, right?
yeah, yeah,
It can use the
exactly,
climate system to do
exactly,
this, right?
exactly.
Without draining too much of battery. Of course, it will drain the battery. There's no question about it. But
Yeah,
sometimes you can
exactly,
even camp
exactly.
next to a charger, or not a charger, but maybe just
Yeah,
a power outlet at a
yeah,
campsite, right? It's nice
yeah,
and
and
cozy. It's standard campsite. You can just set it up.
exactly,
Super nice.
exactly. If you really needed it, you could.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of another acid test I'm keen to do. Is I want to see, well, if I put all of the settings to like keep the cabin cool and sort of through the heat of the day, like really use up the juice, really use up a lot of charge. It's still it's not going to be it's not the battery's not going to be flat in the morning. It might be down 3 or 4 5% when you're using a lot of that charge through that sort of hot part of the day to keep the cabin cool, because
That depends, right?
it
Obviously, but
depends. It
once it's
depends.
cool, on the difference between desired temperature in the cabin and the outside temperature,
Yeah,
and also moisture and stuff.
yeah.
But
But
obviously, it's not a
it's not
concern.
exactly. This is very intelligent technology. It's not going to just go run flat and not tell you about it. You know,
Yeah,
It's like, yeah. I mean, I've been on road trips in South Africa when I was younger, and I recall one where I'm looking at the needle, the fuel gauge, right,
yeah,
and it goes into the red. But when it's in the red, does that mean you have 50 kilometers left or 15 kilometers left? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. You
You
never
don't
know.
quite know. It's a bit of a gamble, And I'm looking on the
That's true.
horizon and I'm thinking, because I'm on a long journey through like the uh,
The
um
hinterland.
yeah, through like there's a desert called the Karoo. If you
Okay.
go on a long drive from Johannesburg to like Cape Town, it's about 1,000 odd kilometers or so, and part of it is through this desert, and it's the heat that you're in the middle of the heat of the day. You're thinking,
Yeah.
the last thing I want to do now is run out of fuel, you know. So I'm looking at the needle. It's kind of like teasing around the red area, and I think at one point I saw this. We're sort of coming around a hill, and I saw this petrol station stop.
Yeah.
It was just it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I was so relieved. I was so that
Yeah. I
is
had.
range anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? With
It
a
can also
Tesla,
happen with a Tesla. I mean, but you
yeah, but the
want.
thing is, the Tesla's doing a lot of calculating. It's doing
Yeah.
there's a lot of
You know
estimation.
how much you need, right? And you can
Yes,
plan
yes,
trips in between, and
yes.
charging up for 20 minutes or 15, right? So most of the
You
time,
don't
you're
need
not even
much.
back from the loo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When it's
and
already
you've
done
already
already.
gained another 50 miles of range.
Yeah,
Exactly, and I think it's range anxiety is actually not a very strong argument, because if you wanted to talk range anxiety, talk about those like the trip I had with the needle on the red, you know. It's like talk about that and think that's anxiety, but with a Tesla, and I'm sure it's going to come with a lot of other electric vehicles, the accuracy is going to go up, and the ability for a good technology to estimate its capacity, like in terms
yeah,
of range,
and
is going
advise
is
you if
going
you need
is taking a
help, right?
significant step forwards. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's
and
taking the thinking out of it, and most consumers,
yeah,
I think, don't want to think too much about it, right? They
yeah,
just
yeah,
want, obviously, to arrive at the destination with enough charge,
yeah,
and that's what
yeah,
Tesla does
exactly.
for you, right? It's so easy, it's so
Yeah,
convenient.
yeah. It's pre-calculating to say, okay, this is how much charge you have. This is the distance you want to go. It's taking
Yeah.
elevation into account. Uh,
Yes. Also
it,
temperature, moisture
yeah,
again, everything.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
crazy.
So it's going
The
to say,
weather.
well, all right, for you to be comfortable with your trip, you need to go and stop here and here,
Yeah.
for example, so that you can keep a healthy level of charge, so that when you arrive at your destination, you're not on the last
Yeah, exactly.
1%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to be comfortable and take take the anxiety right out of the picture. And
Yeah.
this is definitely one of I can't think of a better option. I can't think of a
What?
better way to transition into a future of sustainable energy than to get one of these vehicles. That's
Yes,
that's my that was my opinion for a while. Having not had personal, like, kind of first-hand experience, but beyond less than a week's worth of first-hand experience driving a Tesla for the first time. By the way, I've never touched a Tesla before.
yeah, that's
My
incredible.
opinion has is actually gone up in orders of magnitude in the same
Yeah,
direction. You know what I mean? It's confirmed um, all of the assumptions I might have held just having just information about it. So
exactly.
yeah,
Talking about skepticism or actually anxiety, you were talking about that your wife is kind of still not fully convinced. So what is holding her back? That's what is
that's
interesting to
yeah,
me.
really, really, yeah, really
And
good
how are
question.
you going to approach these kind of issues that she still has with the car, right?
I think, yeah, the debate between my wife and I has been quite central. I mean, as you can imagine, cars and houses and big purchases and things are very, very critical to it has to be like a family decision, you know.
Yeah, obviously.
So and um I've tried not to sound like a just another Tesla fanboy. You know what I mean?
Good job.
But it's difficult because, and it's
Yeah,
partially because of
because
all of the benefits. When you start
and
to
you're
realize
also
that,
having like this Tesla community channel. Why not even having
we
touched a
still
Tesla
running the
before, right?
channel, like, yeah, what is it? I mean, look at my T-shirt. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
we're
I
crazy,
think
right?
your wife might have a point there, right?
And it's a valid point. And
Yeah.
and on that note as well, my wife has had many sobering arguments, to say, well, um, we could look at a certain petrol cars and things and options that may and then literally may seem like much better financial options, because
Yeah.
stepping up to something like an electric car, especially at this stage. I mean, a lot of these prices are coming down, and that we hear whispers of, we're hearing various confirmations of like 25,000 dollar lower next generation Teslas coming out, and various options which are becoming more and more within reach of the average household. Essentially, it
Yeah, the
makes
prices are dropping
despite
like crazy.
despite that, the debate is quite strong, and part of the debate is debunking any fanaticism that might be in my agenda, right, as a Tesla fanboy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true.
it's also in part debunking old beliefs, in old thinking, in old
Yeah.
school thinking, which may be that there are beliefs that we have to challenge now. For how long has it been the case that it was widely general knowledge that electric cars of this nature are impossible? It's not a
Yeah.
possible technology.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
new paradigm.
it is a new paradigm, and so I have to kind of not gallop off into Tesla fanboy paradigm only. Especially when I'm discussing this as a potential option with my wife, we need to meet in the middle,
Yes,
and at the
exactly.
same time, she needs to be able to not be stuck in the mud with, oh no, well, this is the paradigm. This is the paradigm, and it's electric cars are ridiculous, and petrol is the only way, and we just have to pollute the atmosphere as and
Is
and
that
that's
a
just it. That's
is
just
that a
that. You
quote
know what I
from
mean?
a wife?
That's no, 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 no. I'm
It's
just
a joke.
thinking. I'm just thinking of the general
Okay.
argument,
Yes,
right?
but what about your
And I
wife
think
especially?
I think yeah, I think my wife's argument was mainly due to, is it financially viable?
Ah,
Is it a good
be-
financial
yes,
move
because it's a new
to
car.
take?
How much did you pay?
It's a
Like
new car.
approximately,
Is
like
it
fifty
expensive?
thousand
You
or something, 60.
Yeah, yeah, thereabouts. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, in
Yeah,
pounds, hey,
pounds.
and um and that's the current, like, that's the going rate for a Model Y right now. And you could go and buy a secondhand car for five thousand
Yeah.
pounds, £10,000, and it'll get you around. It'll get
Yes,
your
true.
family around. in most likely, you'll probably be safe enough, and you probably get by, and you'll probably manage, relatively okay. Sure, you'll continue. We'll all like en masse continue to do something to the
Yeah.
atmosphere. With a lot of noxious gases, and yeah, sure, the statistic of what 1.5 million people a year dying in car accidents is going to just have to just roll on.
So
You
how
know,
was it possible for you
but if
to
you
still spend the 60,000 then, if the five or $10,000 thing, pounds thing does the job as well?
Exactly, exactly. So here, and it's like, I think part of the debate becomes, well, should that go towards the house? And if it should go towards the house, how much should go to the house? Or should it go towards that that fantasy vehicle that you're like drooling about?
Yeah.
That that becomes the debate. That becomes the debate, and it's difficult to step out of those two potential opposing paradigms and to kind of meet in the middle,
So
where you have to challenge and dispose of various assumptions. Um, my wife has to take my word for it when on various things. Like, I might say, "Oh, it's a really good car, and the charging is really
yeah,
good, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very safe." She has to take my word for it. She may read up about it. She might read some FUD.
Yeah, but what about the house thing? I didn't
Yeah,
really get that. Is it like you could also spend the
yeah.
money on the house, like renovating and stuff or something?
In your average household, what are your major expenses? The house, right?
Okay, you're owning this
The
house,
car.
right? For example, I don't have
Well,
these expenses because I don't own this place. It's just a rental
yeah,
apartment, right?
yeah, yeah. Now we're like saving, right? Saving up. So that's and we also rent. I mean, we moved to an area where it was a good catchment for schools, but we were in no position to just purchase outright.
Yeah,
So
especially in
we're
London.
we're
It's
yeah,
crazy. Oh
exactly,
my god.
exactly, exactly. I mean, by the time we move somewhere and looked at making a purchase, it's going to be outside of the city. I'll be glad about that because I don't really want to be in the thick
Ah,
of
okay.
things. We got another visitor at the door here.
Yeah,
Just give me a
of
second.
course. Yeah, but, yeah, I can continue talking about it. Um, when you're getting a house or like a place on your of your own, you should always consider the charging option because it's so much more convenient. But you can still go to a supercharger network or like other charging network. But if you are looking out for property that enables you to charge at home, it's so much more value, I think, in terms of life quality. And the EV transition will come anyways. We still got regulation in place, which is, for example, in the European Union, making it impossible to continue selling ICE cars after 2035, right? And that's in 12 years already. So everything will become
Yeah,
obsolete. Of course, there will be exceptions for old ICE cars, but I was just talking about how when you get a new property, right, or buying a new house, you should also consider
yeah,
the charging options, right, if they're available.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you can easily just
yeah. Because
retrofit
that's
or
part of the paradigm
yes,
shift. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And yeah, especially when it comes to we're just talking about moving outside of the city, right? Especially into
yes.
rural areas. Many people don't dare own an EV, but I think I grew up in these kinds of rural areas, and
Environments. Yeah, yeah,
everybody there has their own parking lot, often at their house or some other place, and they can just
yeah.
easily
Well, the
charge their
further you go,
cars there, right? They never
yes,
need to go
yes,
to another place. And sometimes they have also old big houses where they can put up solar, and then have a
yeah,
battery
yeah.
storage. As I was like, oh my god, I would immediately do this if I was living there, especially
Yeah, like solar roof and
yeah, people in the city, they might have issues like charging their car at home because they are living in apartments.
yeah, high-rise
Yeah,
apartments and places where there's like parking
yeah,
is a,
but
is a
in rural
serious
areas,
issue.
it's laughable. It's just do it, right? But often
It's the
people
thing.
don't know
It's the
about
thing.
it, right? And that's again where I think
Yeah,
Tesla and also other EV companies should advertise more, and also the in terms of politics or political communication, right?
educating.
You can
Yeah,
educate people about it. It's so convenient. It's so easy,
yeah,
and of course, right now
Yeah.
it's still a thing with in terms of inflation, right? People are like, oh, do we need to do this as well right now, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but the cost of food, groceries are crazy
yeah,
at the minute,
but
and
if you're looking at
yeah,
the
and
electricity prices, they are dropping again, right? And it's not that high
yeah,
anymore. And as you were talking earlier, it's like 39 p or cents c in
yeah,
Europe.
at a
It's super.
supercharger, yeah,
Yeah, sometimes it's cheaper to charge at a super Tesla supercharger
yeah,
than
yeah,
charging at home, right? It's like, oh my
yeah,
god, and
yeah,
they're using
yeah,
green energy, of course, like produced by renewable energy, as this is their mission statement, right? Accelerating the
yeah,
world's transition towards sustainable energy. And I think
yeah,
this just makes a whole product. And I think once your wife kind of
yeah,
gets it and drives the Tesla herself, right? Tries
yeah,
it out, I think
exactly,
she will
exactly.
see how good it is.
Yeah, and I think we've already gone up pieces together in the car, and I'm and I hope I'm not delusional when I feel like she's quietly impressed, you know.
I
But
love it.
I'll leave it to her to draw her own conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe like we're saying with the paradigms, maybe the average person has to step outside of their comfort zone, outside of what they
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah,
suddenly
that's so
try
painful.
and explore something that they don't really know much about, and that can be quite intimidating. You know, you can get to a point where you're like, everyone's just laughing at you because you stepped out and tried to do something different, and everyone's like, see, I told you so. And that can be part of what can hold a person back from
Yes.
trying new technology. So but yeah, and that's another thing, is that a lot of people say, like, uh it's a guy thing. Hey, yeah, the car is is
Ah,
is
yeah,
your is your
yeah.
baby, right? And nobody drives the car, right? And I'm
That's
quite happy
bullshit.
to, yeah, exactly. I'm quite happy to say, actually, you know what? I want like you were saying a while ago, Julian. You actually want to encourage people to come and take it for a spin. Just come and experience this thing. That I'm happy that my family is safe,
Yeah.
right? I don't care about scratches and scuff marks and dents and things, and
Yeah.
and a lot of guys are saying to me, "Oh no, it's your baby, it's your baby. No one must touch it. You must polish it up to a fine, glint, and and look after its precious." And I'm like, "Nah, guys, we got to kind of get out of that's another paradigm we got to get out of, and just sort of get people safe, get them happy, get them excited about something, and sitting in the driver's seat of a Tesla is worth it." It's
Yeah,
worth it. Even if you
exactly.
just go for a test drive and just start thinking about it,
Yeah.
start reading about it, and
Now
yeah,
you
if
now
yeah,
without even getting a test drive, you still bought one and you love it like crazy, right? It's like a dream comes true, and
yeah,
over
yeah,
time you will see more and more benefits. It's also for me, especially with regards to software updates. I mean,
yeah,
you might have been
a
following the
continuous
kind of the.
improvement.
Yes. So you can just update the software on the Tesla because it's running on a computer and you only have the touch screen. There are no physical. Of course, there are some required by
Very
law,
few,
like
yeah,
physical stalks that you still need to have
yeah,
and a physical
yeah,
brake and so on. But
yeah,
most of it is just a touch screen, and you can always change up the software. And for you, you might have followed on Twitter or some on some websites like Not a Tesla app or Tesla Scope, I think they're called. They're posting like what are the new versions, like which is dropping like once a month. Is bringing in terms of new features, right?
yeah,
And for you, you get your car and there are already lots of features. But for me as a like kind of older Tesla owner,
yeah,
like
yeah,
of 3 years, I can really see how much the car is still improving after buying it, right? It's not depreciating, it's appreciating
exactly.
in terms of its usability, and it's getting better and better, especially with terms in terms of AI. And I purchased FSD. Right? We were talking about this in
Yeah,
the DMs on Twitter.
yeah,
Um, so of course, full self-driving with the autonomy capability is still not working and also not legal in Germany, but it does
yeah.
have some of them already. And you could also test it on like very straight roads and where
Yeah,
it's
cool.
very clear from the street markings and so on. But I could also see over the years how much better it got, and you
That's
have the
been
same
just
impression
constantly
in the
improving.
US. Yes, and you will see it as well. It's amazing. It's a
Yeah,
journey, and
yeah.
just recently they changed the sound of driving backwards and forwards. I was also cleaning the car inside out, and when I got in and heard the sound, I was like, I got a new Tesla. It's a new car. but it wasn't, right? I was kind
Yeah,
of
it was just
bullshitting.
it was a software update. Yeah,
Yes, just the
yeah,
sound, and of course,
yeah,
making it nice and clean inside out is also
yeah,
super nice. But over the overall impression of the car is like it's new, and they're also optimizing sometimes the range and the batteries chemistry,
yeah,
how they're calculating the trips and so on. So it really, really gets better over time. It's
yeah. And
super crazy.
that's another paradigm shift, is because traditionally you drive a car off the showroom floor, right, and it drops in
Yeah,
value by like
exactly.
20%, like immediately, right?
Yeah,
And then
it's
from
true.
that point forwards, it's a downhill trend,
Yeah,
in
to
terms
zero.
of the car is getting wear and tear. There's nothing new about it. It's if you want to get something new, if you want to get something done, maybe you get new tires, or that's like additional cost. Now you're just getting um, a download, you know,
Yeah.
and you can see and experience improvements in the vehicle, which is it's
Yes.
very it's very counterintuitive to old school thinking.
Yes, of course you're not improving the physical features like the tires or
Exactly, exactly.
like
But
anything else. But
because of the way that the car itself is, it's like a computer on wheels,
yes, it's
and
like
you improve
software
the
is like a main
software.
thing,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
of the software is like one of the main things, and then you get the outside physical frame,
yeah,
which is then leveraged by the software. And as you increase the software, the physical environment also improves. It's like a human brain, right? We're kind
yeah.
of still primates in our bodies, right? We are looking like monkeys, but the software, our mind, has improved so much over evolution, and same is happening to your Tesla, kind of, right? Of
Yes,
course, there are
exactly,
limitations. It's
exactly.
just still like kind of always the same thing. Tesla
Yeah,
doesn't have
yeah.
babies and iterates, but Tesla iterates. And the new cars, and I can also see that when I look at newly produced cars, right?
Yes,
Just the other
yes,
day, I saw a Berlin-made Model Y,
yes,
in the street nearby, and was checking it out, and it looks so refined. It's so different to
yeah,
the
yeah,
initial Model Ys, and especially to my U.S. Fremont-made Model 3, which is
yeah,
kind of clunky. The gaps
yeah.
there,
Sure,
not
sure.
misaligned sometimes. But the new cars from Tesla, and also Tesla China, the cars coming from China,
Yeah,
they are unheard of in terms of quality, right? And I really believe that,
yes,
as I can see it in Germany as well, and of course in the US with the all new Austin factory, they're only improving the build quality. But
exactly.
overall,
They're,
the
they're not they're
software,
not they're not leaving anything behind.
yes,
They
they're
they they
improving,
they're
constantly
carrying they're
improving.
carrying the whole package. Yeah, yeah, and that's
It's so amazing to see.
yeah. It's very exciting and it's very refreshing. And even all of this collaboration with other car manufacturers, they're not like they're not really throwing it up in anybody's face. They're encouraging everybody to kind of enjoy the ride,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
it's very yeah. So yeah, my first impressions of actually owning a vehicle and actually getting to now see it in the flesh, physical, and having my opportunity to just sit back and look at it and think and test it, and for charging, and just see firsthand proof for myself is it's wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
it's great to hear.
yeah, yeah,
So welcome
it's
to the new
yeah.
autonomous
Cheers.
robot member in the Tesla community, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, awesome. No, and
So what do you think? Should we about to come to a close, or what?
yeah, yeah.
In terms of,
Let's.
it's nearly an hour, and I think Lottie is
Yeah, this
still
was
with
only
you.
supposed to be a quick chat.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of course,
No,
we're
that.
going rambling, but we can continue talking here the
Yeah,
other day,
yeah. No, exactly, and
also
we, and
about
we
our other
will. I mean,
project.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
As a
Exactly.
tease, I'll be visiting Claude.
Yeah,
I'm going to London, so we'll be meeting, and then we can maybe have like a physical look at the car, and we can
yeah,
take a video together. And I think
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
really nice
And
because right now, for our viewers, I'm based in
Germany.
in Germany, and then Claude, you're in the UK, in London. So obviously,
Let's
it's
try.
nice to get to know an online friend in real life, right? It's always,
Yeah,
I think, something
exactly.
different and really
And we'll
cool.
we'll have
You
a
bring along your Tesla.
we'll have a beer, maybe
Oh my God, you're
a
crazy,
beer or
man.
two.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's an expensive gift. It's funny. The video review I made on this channel as well
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
kind of our most watched videos right now, and it's kind of a negative review because I said it's not worth it. It's like 30 euros a bottle, which is
Well,
really
look,
crazy.
it's forgivable. I mean, Tesla's not in the beer business, hey, but I mean, they had a go, and
Yeah,
and then
it's
well,
3,000 views.
yeah, exactly. Okay, but sorry, we have visitors in and out of this room all the time,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, we're definitely going to keep following up on this, and frankly, anyone who wants to follow on our crazy little journey, we're only too happy to just express our own sort of observations and opinions, and like we always say, invite pretty much anybody to join us in this conversation, and just to
Yes.
remember that your opinion is actually as important as anybody else's.
Exactly.
Even destructive opinions. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Anybody,
It's like
critics.
it's be heard and make have
Yeah.
present objections.
Maybe you should
It's not
invite
a
your
it's,
wife, right?
yeah
Like
yeah
with you, just
yeah
you and
yeah
her, just to talk. You both talking. Like you can set like a 30 minutes time frame, and then you could just record it. Like I don't need to
exactly.
be on
Hey,
on the channel or at that. So I think it would be nice. So
would be
as
awesome. It would be awesome. Look, if
yeah,
down the line, if she's not super camera shy,
yeah, yeah,
I'd love to. I'd love to just invite anybody to just come and this is it's not just about all of us just listening to people kind of doing stuff. It's actually about an opportunity for us to be involved.
exactly.
And I'm going to
So
say us. I mean everybody on this planet. It's like it's
also
a
outside this
potentially
planet.
pretty inspirational future to look forward to. Yeah. Anyway, I got
Yeah,
more
yeah.
visitors at the
So
door
we
there.
gotta
So
go. Have a
we're
nice
gonna
night.
go.